Morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're joining us today in today's live lecture coming to you from Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University. Today's date is for Market Day in the Igbo lunar calendar. You know that the Igbo lunar calendar uses Eke, Oye, Afo, Nkwo, 4 market days, of which 7 Nkwo market days make 1 month. Unlike in the Roman Catholic calendar, where 7 days, which is 4 weeks, make 1 month. And today's date in the Roman Catholic calendar is 6/24/2025. Remember, at Nkolo Mahadum, we always advise you to use your naturally given common sense, which we call akonuche in Igbo language, to evaluate all the things you're seeing, all the things you're hearing, before you make a decision. And again, Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University is set up to decolonize your mind and save you from mental slavery, because since we are born, from childhood, they start to give you wrong education, show you wrong images, to convince you, to deceive you, and hence the establishment of Nkolo Mahadum Wisdom University to debunk all those images and false informations, to save you from mental slavery, so that you can be free. You can be a free-minded person. You can be thinking free with your brain. That's why we're asking you to please join us, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and other social media platforms, because we package lectures from the Igbo man, from Biafran and African perspectives, how you should be seeing things. Don't see things from the way somebody from United States or Europe or Asia is seeing things. No, you see things from an African perspective, from an Igbo man perspective. And the title of today's lecture is Israel bombs Iran, Iran retaliates back, USA bombs Iran, Iran bombs Israel and Qatar, which is an implication of the expansion of the Third World War. You know, we told you we're already in Third World War. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. That is why you have to follow us and Nkolo Mahadum, because we tell you exactly how it is. So we want to know the implications of the expansion of this Third World War for the Igbo man, for the Biafran, and for the African. How does it concern you? How do you see what is going on? So in this lecture, we also cover the IAEA and also the Non-Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. We shall also cover them in this lecture. And so the world woke up on June 13th, 2025, to hear and see Israel bombing multiple Iranian nuclear sites with over 330 different bombs on the 13th of June, 2025. And in those strikes also, they killed almost 78 Iranians, including scientists and army generals. And why will Israel be the one to go and start bombing Iran? Israel bombed Iran because, remember, Israel was cited by Britain during the Balfour Declaration in 1917 that they established, they said they want to establish the state of Israel on the land of the Palestinian people. And in that location where Israel is currently sited, the Arabs said no. And since that time, there have been wars and wars and wars with Israel. And Israel is like a proxy country for America. It's like another American country. So Britain and America are the major supporters of Israel because they want to use Israel to continue to cause instability, to destabilize the Arab land. And so that is what we have. And that is why Israel went and bombed Iran, because they want to remain the only power in that area. Because all the wars they've been fighting since the creation of Israel in the Palestinian land, they've been winning that war. Is it the war with Lebanon? Is it with Syria? Is it with Palestinians? They've been winning. So they want to remain the only power in that area. That is why they voluntarily, they unilaterally, they on their own went and bombed Iran on June 13th, 2025. And on June 15, 2025, Iran also retaliated with hypersonic and drone strikes on Israel. Since then, they've been going back and forth. Israel will bomb, Iran continue to rain missiles and drone on different cities in Israel. And so it's also Israel bombing several places in Iran. And then, surprisingly, on June 18th, Saturday, United States President Donald Trump bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites in Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz, in 3 cities where they said that the Iranians were building nuclear bomb. In Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz. So, according to the US president, they sent their B-2 bombers to bomb those sites. And everybody saw what happened and heard what happened. And people were wondering, why would the US go and start bombing these Iranian sites? Why negotiations were going on between the Iranian negotiators and the US negotiators on how to solve the need for Iran to have a nuclear energy for not for bomb, but for their people to have energy. Why should they be doing so? Why should it be the United States to voluntarily go and bomb those sites? That tells you that we are living in American empire. America is the one controlling the world right now. And others like Russia and Britain and India and the BRICS nations are trying to get away, are trying to fight the empire, to collapse the empire. But for now, America is the empire, is the one that is controlling the world. That is why they're able to do that without any much repercussion. And then in retaliation, on June 23rd, 2025, Iran fires missiles and drones on a USA Army base, air base, which is situated in Al-Udeid. Udeid is spelled U-D-E-I-D. On Al-Udeid air base in Qatar. That's what Iran did to retaliate for the bombing of the US by the US of their nuclear power plants in Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz. And on the same June 23rd, late June 23rd, Trump announced a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, which he called a 12-day war. This is interesting. How can the perpetrator, how can the person that is involved, the country is involved in bombing, be the one to say that they are declaring a ceasefire? That also tells you that we are living in American empire. America is the one controlling the world. They call the shots, they do whatever they want, and nobody questions them. And people are asking, why would Israel go and bomb the Iran nuclear site? Why? Why you have what they call the International Atomic Energy Agency. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, was set up in 1957 by the United Nations. Their job is to monitor nuclear facilities, report on nuclear activities, oversee safety, urges diplomacy, and promote use of nuclear technology for good. So you have this agency that was formed by the United Nations. So if we have this agency that their job is to oversee any nuclear activity or project, why should not be Israel to be the one to take the laws into their hand, to go and start to bomb different nuclear sites in Iran? And that is what we want to explain to you in this lecture. That for Israel to do that, they must have gotten approval from the war's empire, the American empire. Without Israel getting approval from the American empire to go and bomb the Iranian nuclear sites, they won't do that. They will not have the audacity to do that in violation of international law, because Israel is a country, Iran is a country, and Israel doesn't have a right to go and start to bomb another independent country without UN approval. But they did. And at the same time, where you have the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, set up by the United Nations to take care of anything concerning nuclear activity by any country. If that agency is there, why would Israel be the one to go and start bombing Iranian nuclear sites with impunity? Why? Because Israel have the backing of United States of America, which is the empire controlling the world today. And even the IAEA says that Iran is not enriching uranium to get to producing nuclear weapon. Even that agency set up by the United Nations have confirmed that Iran is not producing enough uranium, enriching enough uranium to produce nuclear weapon. So why wouldn't that agency be respected? Why wouldn't the agency be respected? And so, even taking you back to the war between the United States and Britain and which they call the coalition of the willing, the war they fought with Iraq in those days, in the year 20,002, you know, that war lasted from 2003 to 2011. In that war also, IAEA stated that Iraq stopped its chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons program before being attacked. So anytime IAEA does their work and says there's no nuclear activity, why then are they being disregarded and that country being bombed and war going on? That is what you have to be thinking. Why? Why are they violating the agencies created by the United Nations, such as the IAEA in this case? Now, even when Trump decided to bomb the Iranian nuclear locations, he did it without congressional approval. He did it without United Nations. He didn't go to United Nations. He just did it unilaterally, that is on his own, without anybody supporting him, without him asking for any approval before he started to bomb another country. And even his director of national intelligence, called Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is the head of the United States Intelligence Agency, who testified in March this year that Iran is not trying to produce nuclear weapon. And President Trump didn't even listen to the IAEA report that Iran is not enriching uranium up to produce nuclear weapon. He didn't listen to anybody. That also tells you we are in American empire. And so we want to also use this opportunity, this lecture, to let you know that 8 countries, actually 9 countries, possesses nuclear weapons as we speak today. 9 countries possesses nuclear 9 countries, but 8 of them is the one that acknowledged, that said, yes, we have it. And one of them, which we hear its name, have it, but never acknowledge. The countries that have nuclear weapon today and say, yes, we have it, includes United States, Russia, UK, China, France, India, Pakistan, and North Korea. These 8 countries agree that they have nuclear weapons. Israel have nuclear weapon, but they never acknowledge that they have it. They have it in secrecy. They have it without going through IAEA. And yet they have it. Nobody killed them. Nobody sanctioned them. And even Israel is not a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, but Iran is. And so that takes us to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. We have explained to you that 8 countries acknowledge having nuclear weapons. Israel also have nuclear weapon without acknowledging it, so he had it in secret. So Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which they call NPI, was also set up, signed in 1968, and started its work in 1970. And their job is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons, but only for you to use it for nuclear energy, for electricity and other needs, but not for bomb. So the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons. This treaty prevents those who know how to build the nuclear weapon not to show it to others, not to sell it to others. So, but only if it's going to be used for domestic, that is for nuclear energy, just for energy, not for bomb. And so it was signed in 1968 and enforced in 1970. And this treaty originated by USA, UK, and Soviet Union. They are the originators, those who brought it up. United States, UK, and Soviet Union. And there's another important definition we want to make in this lecture. The one they call nuclear weapon states. Nuclear weapon states are regarded as states that detonate nuclear weapons by January 1st, 1967. So if you have built and detonated, that is exploded, nuclear weapon by January 1st, 1967, you are classified as a nuclear weapon state. The 5 nuclear weapon states before 1967 includes United States, UK, France, China, and Russia. So why we want to bring this up in this lecture also is for you to know that all these names that you hear now, the nuclear states, they are the ones in the Security Council. They are the ones that have permanent membership of the Security Council. They are the ones that have veto power in the Security Council. I mean, the countries that are nuclear power states, the countries that detonated, exploded nuclear weapons before January 1st, 1967, which are United States, UK, France, China, and Russia. 5 of them are nuclear weapon states, and they are permanent members in the United Nations, as well as having veto power. We have explained this veto power before, that even if the whole world say no, and one of them say yes, it is their yes that the whole world will follow, and which we call at Nkolomahalum the greatest injustice of all time. The United Nations is the greatest injustice of all time. That countries with veto power decides what happened to every other person in the world, even whether every other world have said yes, and one person, one country says yes, that's it. They will kill that motion. And so, what are the implications of all this to an Igbo man, to a Biafran, and as an African? First of all, you have seen how the world politics is being played. You have seen how United States by Donald Trump, leader of the United States, was the one negotiating with Iran for their nuclear program. Why will it be United States? Why you have IAEA, the agency set up to do so? Why wouldn't that agency be allowed to do its work? You have also heard that Israel went and bombed on their own. A country going to bomb another country. You have seen everywhere that even Trump bypassed to go and bomb the Iranian nuclear locations. So, as an Igbo man, as an African, what's your takeaway from this lecture? Our first takeaway from this lecture is that we Igbo people, we Biafrans, we Africans, we don't have a place in this world. We don't have a place. It's time for every Igbo man, for every Biafran, for every African to stand up. There's no point that you are saying that you are this person or that person or whatever you think you are, and you see the situation, the mess we are in. We don't have a voice in the world. We don't have our own boundary, which will be called an Igbo nation, which will have influence in the world. We are nowhere. We don't even have a country. As an Igbo man, as a Biafran, you don't even have your own country, first of all. Have your own boundary that you say, hey, this is my boundary. I'm proud of my country, an Igbo country. You don't have it. And every time you'll be raising shoulder, you'll be making all kinds of noise that you are this. I think Kolomahadum, we, the Igbo race, the Biafrans and Africans, we are nothing until we dismantle all the colonial boundaries, and for the Igbo man, for the Biafra to have their own country. That's number one. Number two, you don't have any, you don't belong to the United Nations Security Council. You don't belong there. You don't have permanent membership. You don't have veto power. You don't have nuclear energy. You don't have nuclear bomb. And you claim that you are equal to others. Why can't we? Why can't we be like other people? Why should we be relegated to the background? That is the takeaway that is from this lecture. Because we here at Nkolomahadum, we go deep. You don't look things at the surface. Because each time you come out, you show you your big car or big house or whatever you have as to show that you are Africans are nothing. As long as this world is concerned, we are not focusing on the things we're supposed to focus on. Our focus should be to dismantle the colonial boundaries, assert our own boundaries of our own. And in such situation, the Biafran nation, the Igbo nation, we have their own boundary, the boundary of their own. So we can have a mouth in what is happening in the world. We don't have a say. It's very, very, very annoying. So these are the takeaways. The United Nations is not for you. It's by the creators, created by those who won the Second World War. They are the ones that are permanent membership. They are the ones that have veto power. They are the one that says what is going on in this world. And they even violate that United Nations, because you have seen several wars in our lifetime that the US and their allies fought without even going to the United Nations. The Iraqi war is one of them. The Libyan war is one of them, to mention a few. So we have to wake up. Wake up. You don't just listen to all this news in your houses and you just keep quiet. What are you thinking? What are you doing? And before we continue, I have to beg you again to please subscribe, join us, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and other social media platforms, so that anytime we present a new lecture, you'll be first to get it. Our lectures will make you to think. Nkolomahadum Wisdom University is for you to use your common sense and think. Be a thinker. If you cannot be a thinker, then you are not. I don't know what to say. But my brothers and sisters, don't just listen to all this news and you'll be clapping your hand. Clapping for who? Where is your own? Where is your identity? And so, to summarize this lecture, that Israel bombed multiple Iranian nuclear sites on 6/13 with 330 different bombs, killing 78 people, including Iranian nuclear scientists and many top generals, voluntarily on their own. Why will a country go and bomb another country? Because they have a godfather in Britain and United States. That's why they could do that. Violating international law. International laws, not only one law. They didn't go to United Nations. They didn't follow the IAEA statements in disregard of everybody. And then on 6/15, Iran retaliated with hypersonic missiles. Then on June 18th again, Donald Trump, on his own, also went and bombed the Iranian sites in Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz. And on June 23rd, 2025, Iran fires missile on USA Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. And also late June 23rd, yesterday, Trump announced a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, calling it a 12-day war. He's part of the war. It's an expansion of the Third World War. By him going, it's an expansion of the Third World War. And Iran going to Qatar is an expansion of the Third World War. Folks, the Third World War is expanding. It is expanding. And let us see whether it will decrease or open up again, involving other nations. But the wars we have already going on is Third World War. Because in all those wars, America is involved, Britain is involved, France is involved, Russia is involved, Ukraine is involved, Sudan is involved. The one that are fighting against the Sahel states is there. The Fulani herdsmen terrorists fighting everybody in Nigeria is also there. So there's war everywhere. The war in the Congo, the war in Sudan, to mention a few. So we are already in Third World War. And so we are asking, why will Israel be the one? Why we have International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the institution, the agency set up in 1957 by the United Nations to make sure that nuclear activities are safe, are monitored, to report, to urge for diplomacy, and only for nuclear energy to be used for nuclear activities to be used for energy needs only and not for atomic bomb building. And we reminded you that such a thing happened also in Iraq during the Saddam Hussein, when they were accusing him of building chemical weapons, which all came out to be lie. At that period, IAEA also stated that Iran stopped its chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons program before being attacked by George Bush and Tony Blair. And the war extended from 2003 to 2011. And then when Donald Trump bombed the Iranian nuclear sites, he did it without no congressional approval. Congress did not authorize him. He went on his own. He didn't go to the United Nations. No, he went on his own. He didn't listen to the IAEA reports. No. Even his national security head, Tulsi Gabbard, he didn't listen to him. And again, this is another place we want to ask Africans. Is this the type of democracy you want in Africa? A democracy where, just like the one they're having now in Africa, the foreign democracy, imported democracy that are practicing in Africa, where the president have the power to do whatever they want. That is not the type of democracy we had before the arrival of the colonial masters. That's why we are saying that we should dismantle all their colonial institutions and their colonial democracy and go back to our own, our original one left by our forefathers, which is also still in my village, where you have Okolibom, Ndichie, and Otuoliora, which is representative democracy, appointment democracy. It is cheaper and more truthful and more transparent and will give us better things than one person taking the law into his hand. And we also use this lecture to let you know that these nuclear weapons they're talking about, that 8 countries have it right now and say that yes, we do have nuclear weapons. And the 8 countries that have nuclear weapons now: United States, Russia, UK, China, France, India, Pakistan, and North Korea. These 8 countries say, yes, we do have nuclear weapons. Israel have nuclear weapons, but did not say they have it. They are hiding it. The question is, how can then, if you are so conscious about somebody having nuclear weapon, and you had that Israel had it secretly and still maintains the secrecy, and IAEA is doing nothing, United Nations is doing nothing, that tells you the type of world we live in. It tells you the type of world we live in. They still have it up to today. So if Israel can have it secretly, why can't others? And Israel is not a member of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. They didn't sign it. They didn't sign it. Yet they have nuclear weapons. But when others want to even have it following the correct channel, being a member of Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and if of inviting IAEA to come and monitor them in that process, yet they're not allowed to do it. That tells you the type of world we live in. This is how you should be seeing things. Don't just see things from, hey, he said by Al Jazeera, he said by CNN and all those media houses. That's not how you Africans should be seeing things. And then we also use this lecture to explain to you what they mean by nuclear power states. The nuclear power states are those who exploded, who detonated nuclear weapons before January 1st, 1967. And those countries are United States, UK, France, China, and Russia. And these names sound familiar. They are people that won, the countries that won the Second World War. They are the one with the permanent seat at the Security Council. They are the one that have veto power. They are the one that decides what happens to the rest of mankind. If the whole world say no, and one of them say yes, it is their yes, the whole world will follow. That is the world we live in. That is why Africans are advised not to take the United Nations serious. And we are saying, what are the implications of all this to you, an Igbo man, to you, a Biafran, to you as an African? How are you seeing this? Do you still respect the United Nations? Should you be regarding the United Nations as a place to save you? Why even the creators are violating the laws of the United Nations? Even those who set it up don't even care about it. They don't even care about their institutions. Why should you, African? Why should you, an Igbo man, care about those things? You are not in the Security Council. You don't have veto power. You don't have nuclear energy. You don't have nuclear bombs. So what else do you have? We don't have nothing. So we should prioritize. We should prioritize what we need in life. Now, our priorities are wrong. We are not doing things that we're supposed to do. So what we're supposed to do first is to dismantle the foreign colonial boundaries in Africa, so that many countries will emerge in Africa, and the Igbo man, Biafrans, will have their own boundary first. With that boundary, we can be having input in what is going on in the world. We can struggle to be a member of the United Security Council. We can struggle to have nuclear energy and nuclear bombs like other countries. If not, we are nothing. Irrespective of what you think you are nothing. If you don't have your own country, if you don't participate in world affairs, If you don't have your own country, you don't have no identity. Nobody knows that you are existing. Why should it be so as an Igbo man? So this is how we want you to be reasoning. When we say use your common sense, you have to reason deep. Don't be seeing things from the surface. It's just joining the chorus. That's not what we need. So an Igbo man, anywhere you live, a Biafran, know that, an African, know that you have a challenge in your hand, that we are nowhere in world affairs. And with this, we shall bring it to this lecture to an end. Thank you very, very much for joining me, and have a great, great day. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.